In anime and manga, or battle shonen specifically, most have a power system to help start their series off. We have chakra from Naruto, nin from Hunter x Hunter, quirks from My Hero Academia, devil fruits and haki from One Piece. Personally, one of my favorites is Magoi from Magi. But Fire Force in a particular category puts itself above a lot of these power systems. Fire Force being one of the weekly shonens that I read every single week, and one of the manga that I look forward to reading every single week. Just from a combination of characters and lore, and of course, in this case, it'd be power system. I find all of that extremely interesting. But the most interesting thing about Fire Force, and actually what got me into the series, was its power system. I think Okubo came up with one of the most unique power systems I have seen in anime and manga. Just in uniqueness, I feel like it rivals Nin. The reason I believe this power system is so unique is because it's based around one defined principle: heat. Every ability or power that everyone uses has heat at its core fundamental. The way I'm going to break down this power system, I'm going to break it down into 4 different categories. Category 1, second generation. Category 2, third generation. Category 3, fourth generation. And category 4, infernalization. Category 1, second generation. Second generations are people who are granted the ability to manipulate and control fires. These pyrokinetics do not have the ability to create their own flame, but they are able to control any flame around them. Second generations also have their physical abilities increased, more resilient to damage, and they also have immunity to fire. Second generations can control the flames of third generation and infernos. All second generations all use their abilities differently and in their own unique way. Some second generations users are Takehisa Hinawa, Karen Flim, or Sharon. Now I want to dive deep into these 3 and show you what their powers are. And I picked the most unique powers that I felt were like the most interesting in the series. First, let's start off with Takehisa Hinawa. His ability allows for him to control the spark that a gun outputs to amplify the speed of a bullet. He also does another move called ricochet control, where he controls the spark of a bullet when it touches a surface to ricochet and hit a target. The next person is Karen Flam. Karim uses his ability called thermoacoustic refrigeration. With the instrument he carries, Karim compacts heat energy, turning it into sound, and by creating friction with the air, he turns the sound into cold air, cold enough to make ice. When heat is turned into sound energy, its temperature drops and it enters a state of transposition. And by a constant repeat of this motion, Karim can lower the temperature to make ice. Lastly, Sharon's second generation ability allows for him to control the thermal energy inside of his body. He uses this ability as a defense counterattack, if that makes sense. Sharon allows for people to strike his body because of his strong defense. During each attack, his body stores up more and more kinetic energy within him. He's then able to release this kinetic energy back out and to use it as an attack. It's kind of similar to Black Panther, if you ever seen it, where he got the new suit that collects kinetic energy and it just stores it and stores it and stores it until he's ready to release it. And then once he releases it, just sends out a giant shockwave, or in this case, it'll be an explosion. Category 2, third generations. Third generations are people who do not turn into infernos by eating the Adola bugs. They instead gain the ability to be able to conjure fire. Much like second generations, third generations are immune to burning. Third generations, however, have a weakness that the second generation do not have. Third generations can suffer from tephrosis. Now, what tephrosis is when a third generation user overuses their ability and their body begins to turn char and slowly turn into ash. I like this because it plays with the similarity of how flames need oxygen to breathe. So you can see all this when you look at Conroe from the 7th Division. He is actually currently going through tephrosis, and he can't use his fire abilities unless he wants to die. Now, as for the characters who are third generation pyrokinetics, I have chosen Princess Hibana, Sister Somir, and Yona. They are not my favorite characters, but I chose them just because, they have the most unique abilities, and Hibana's ability is one of the things that really kept me into Fire Force, and that I found extremely interesting. Let's go first with Princess Hibana. Hibana can use her ability Clematis to make her flower-shaped attacks like the Sakura tree that she uses. But to me, the real interesting part of her power lies with her heat syncope. Using her initiation ability, she is able to control the surrounding temperature. She engulfs the body in heat, causing the blood vessels to enlarge, lowering the blood pressure inside someone's body. She lowers the traveling of blood to the brain, causing people to feel dizzy and even make them pass out. This happened you've seen when she's fighting Shinra in her introduction arc. Secondly is Sister Somir, a new candidate for second best girl. Her ignition ability allows for her to make tremors out of the shivering motion of her muscles. Shivering is a natural bodily function that makes the body automatically shake. When the muscle vibrates, it secretes a small burst of heat. She uses her ability to amplify that heat and turn it into kinetic energy, creating large vibrations to shake her surroundings. Like she was creating earthquakes, and I kind of have somewhat of a theory because I just recently watched the current Fire Force episodes, and I think she may have been starting these earthquakes all the way from the beginning back during the Nether arc. But that's just a random theory that just came into my mind once I learned her power. She was able to shake her surroundings during this current arc. Lastly is Yona. Yona's ability allows for him to control and manipulate the caliparies, I think that's how you pronounce it, and lymph nodes inside the body to change and alter a person's ability. He does this by pretty much heating up the body and manipulating and moving around the blood vessels. Category 3, 4th generation. 4th generation are a set group of people who possess the Adola Burst. 4th generations are not technically a generation, but they are simply dubbed that name by one of the people who possesses an Adola Burst. 4th generation are people who have awakened their Adola Burst and are able to connect to their preacher through the Adola link. Having all of this allows for the 4th generation to use a strong and unbelievable power. As of the most recent chapter, chapter 201, we have finally discovered all 8 pillars of the Adola Burst: Amaterasu, Hamiya, Sho, Shinra, my goat, Inca, Nataku, Sister Somir, and Iris. I will only talk about 2 people of the Adola Burst, Sho and Shinra, because their powers are the only ones that have been thoroughly fleshed out. So just to keep this video short and not make it a repeat of my first video explaining Sho's power, I just want to briefly explain both of their powers. Sho is able to steal the heat from the expansion of the universe, making him go light speed, while Shinra is able to speed up so fast that his body disintegrates and reintegrates, making him faster than light speed. And to be honest, I think he can time travel. The way they was talking about it, the way that I wrapped my head around it, I felt as if he could time travel. But that's just me. But on to the last one. But before I go to the next one, there's 2 anomalies I would like to talk about within this system. The 2 anomalies are 2 people. These people are Benimaru and Kurano. Benimaru is the only person in the series to have both 2nd generation abilities and 3rd generation abilities. He's the only person who can conjure fire and control flames that are not his. Alright, sorry if this audio sounds different, but I'm recording this after I already chopped up the audio in my editing. But I just want to quickly throw something in because I kind of forgot it. I just want to quickly expand upon Benimaru's power. I feel like I didn't go deep enough. Basically, he has a 2nd generation and 3rd generation ability. He uses his 3rd generation of powers to set things on fire and moves them with his 2nd generation ability. It's pretty much just Benimaru's application of his powers. It's pretty simple. But there's a cool thing that makes Benimaru one of my favorite characters, and it's the fact that he carries the Matoi. And to give you like a little folklore, I guess that's what you'll call it, or like a little fun fact about the Matoi. So basically, the reason Okubo gave Benimaru the Matoi, or why the Matoi exists, which are like these little, I'd say to non-Asian audience, at least that's why I would think, that to me, it looks like a mop. I'm pretty sure to a lot of other people, it looks like a mop. But like the mop-looking things, they're called Matois. Pretty much what Matois are, they're pretty much the flags for firemen back in the old Edo period of Japan. And so I thought that was a really cool way for him to tie in firefighters and then into Fire Force. I thought it was a really interesting way. But pretty much, Benimaru uses those Matois to set them ablaze and use them flying around and attack people. Alright, so I'm back again with some more re-recorded audio or new recorded audio. I forgot to go into Benimaru's power, and that was pretty much the EI forms. And as of right now, he has up to 7 forms, but we only ever seen 3. And these EI forms are just his martial arts that incorporates his fire within them. And so EI first form is Kagetsu, or Fire Moon, where he pretty much just does a chop, and that's pretty much it. That's all he really does. Second form is Hekoko, I think that's how you pronounce it, but the English translation would be Moonlight. It seems like it's more of like a solar flare. You ever seen Dragon Ball? So it kind of just blinds the enemy. And then you have the 7th form, Nichiren, which translates into Sun Wheel, which he conjures a wheel of fire behind him, and I guess he charges up all of that fire, one swing that dissipates an enemy. Now with Kurano, he is an anomaly because he actually has a disease. I talked about this earlier, but Kurano has Tephrosis, but for some reason his Tephrosis doesn't move past his forearm. And the cool part about this is that he uses this Tephrosis to make attacks. In his arc, he was able to conjure up a smoke screen, make a kunai, and then he was even able to do a substitution jutsu. And honestly, he has probably like one of the most unique abilities because of how he uses the Tephrosis and his ignition ability of him being a 3rd generation. But these 2 are the only 2 outliers within the series because they're just they don't fit anywhere. Or at least, I mean, technically Kurano does, but as I said, he has the disease of Tephrosis. So it's like very wonky. But with Benimaru, he's the only person who has 2 generation abilities. But yeah, so let's move on. So before we move on, I forgot to explain something a bit earlier. So I'm adding this in wherever this is going right now. So I want to explain the relationship between third generation and fourth generation. So as I said before, or am going to say in the future, I said that or will say, Benimaru is the only person in the series who possesses 2 generation abilities. But that's not necessarily true because all 4th generations are classified as 3rd generation. The reason both are classified together is because the character named Dragon. Dragon was fighting Arthur during the Empire arc, when he suddenly whipped out an attack and everyone around him noticed that his body looked much like that of an inferno, which brought out this new concept that there are some people who can turn in and out of infernos. So right now, we don't really know much about it. The only person who has ever done this is Dragon. But in the future, I'm pretty sure we will see more and what they can do and how the power system evolves over time. And I really do hope we see more. So I'm really looking forward to this. But this is the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I think personally, I like the new gen shonen. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm doing air quotes. I think Fire Force has probably one of the best power systems, especially with how unique it is. I think that's what really helps it out. And that's why I kind of compare it to Nin. But just Nin, I just compare it to Nin only in the factor that is only in the uniqueness factor because of the one defined principle that Fire Force sits under. And then with Nin, you have all the different complicated, convoluted abilities that are super extremely detailed. So that's why I think they kind of go hand to hand. But hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.